My name is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to be doing your December the 14th, just for today, in a meditation. Hope you're having a beautiful morning. A shout out to TWL on your 8 years clean in Narcotics Anonymous. It has surely been a pleasure knowing you. So, congratulations, lady. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the meditation. It is entitled Addiction, Drugs, and Recovery. Hopefully you can see that clearly. Addiction, drugs, and recovery. Addiction is a physical, mental, and spiritual disease that affects every area of our lives. That comes from the basic text, page 20. Before we started using, most of us had a stereotype, a mental image of what addicts were supposed to look like. Some of us pictured a junkie robbing convenience markets for drug money. Others imagined a paranoid recluse peering at life from behind perpetually drawn drapes and locked doors. As long as we didn't fit any of the stereotypes, we thought we couldn't be addicts. As our using progressed, we discarded those misconceptions about addiction, only to come up with another, the idea that addiction was about drugs. We may have thought addiction meant a physical habit, believing any drug that didn't produce physical habituation was not addictive, or we thought the drugs we took were causing all our problems. We thought that merely getting rid of the drugs would restore sanity to our lives. One of the most important lessons we learn in Narcotics Anonymous is that addiction is much more than the drugs we used. Addiction is a part of us. It's an illness that involves every area of our lives, with or without drugs. We can see its effects on our thoughts, our feeling, and our behavior, even after we stop using. Because of this, we need a solution that works to repair every area of our lives. The 12 steps. Just for today, addiction is not a simple disease, but it has a simple solution. Today, I will live in that solution, the 12 steps of recovery. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If I'm being completely honest in reading this meditation, there's a piece of me that is saddened because I think about all of the people that I know and love that are confused about what the disease of addiction actually is. And because they don't understand that this is a part of who they are, right? Instead of something that they do, it's a part of something, it's something that is a part of who they are. And it in and of itself pushes the other behavior. So my problem is that it's very possible that many of the ones that I care about, that I personally love, it is very possible that unless they have this gift of desperation, they may never get it, which of course means a loss for me, right? And so I'm somehow saddened because, I've been in Narcotics Anonymous for a while. And I remember when I first came, I thought that if I put the drug down, the behavior would change. But what I also found out was that I had so many character defects, and I wasn't humble enough to use the 12 steps to help me change my behaviors. Even though I wasn't using drugs, I was still dirty on the inside. And that unclean thinking, right? That stinking thinking. Don't get caught up on words, right? Don't get caught up. Call it whatever you need to call it, but I'm going to call it what I need to call it. That unclean thinking, that stinking thinking caused me to continue to behave the same way, and in some cases worse than I was when I was using. The problem now is that I no longer had the drugs to blame for my behavior, which caused me to go into more lying and manipulating and cheating and finding ways and means to do more, not drugs, right? But more of the behaviors, which now the guilt and the shame is intensified because the drugs are no longer there to camouflage it. So I was miserable. It wasn't until I had a complete surrender and started actually working the steps and applying the spiritual principles that my life began to get better. And so I would want for you today to think about that. How is the disease of addiction, physical, mental, and spiritual, in your life? You can add other things, right? Emotional, which is very well attached to mental and has physical signs, right? So they're all interrelated. You can even talk about your financial impairment. But basically, what we're saying here is that the disease of addiction encompasses all of who we are. That's why there's none of this, I'm asleep on what I did yesterday. No. It may benefit you, your recovery from yesterday. But don't think for an instance, just because you made a bunch of meetings yesterday, that something will not come up that will cause you difficulty. Excuse me, I need to cough. Difficulty will happen regardless, right? Beauty will happen regardless. But being able to cope with it and manage it is deeply related to how well we choose to recover, right? And we have the 12 steps to help us with that. We're not left out here on our own. Make no mistake that this is a program that actually works. It's spiritual in nature. It's not religious. And those that are confused about that also struggle, because that was an area that I believe in the beginning that I truly struggled with. And I think that is why I refused to surrender to the working of the steps and working with a sponsor initially. It's because I did not want any organization other than the religion of my choice, which I was not a part of, I was not active in. So it was a figment of my imagination. It was a non-existent virtue that I was holding on to. But I didn't want any organization trying to explain to me anything about spirituality or God or giving me a bunch of rules. And so I refrained from doing all of the work because of that. It wasn't until the pain got great enough, right, that I decided to change. So today, I hope that this has benefited you, and I hope that you are thinking as we close, you are thinking about your own disease of addiction, about how you may have misunderstood what it was, and because of it, you weren't able to access the fullness, the beauty of this 12 steps of recovery. But today, I hope that you are. I hope that you have a beautiful December the 14th. I intend to have a beautiful day on purpose. Talk to you soon.